to the Sugar and Spikes podcast, a show for everyone trying to navigate business and life without losing their minds. I'm Dez, a coach and consultant who is entirely overeducated, habitually overdressed, and obnoxiously honest.
And I'm Tammy. I'm a psychologist. Was I supposed to say more?
You know what? Enough said. We talk about mindset, mental health, and making it all work in the big, bad business world.
One quick note. We may be mental health professionals, but we're not your mental health professionals.
So, enjoy the show! Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Sugar and Spikes podcast. Today, we're doing a pretty, timely episode because we stopped bulk recording all of our things.
It's true.
Which lets us, I don't want to say plan better, but...
Well, we did say that for season 2, we were trying to be more thoughtful.
Fair.
About and planful about our
Wait, so
what am I even trying to say today?
So can I just say that after like the first couple of episodes of season 2, and we were like, and we've never missed a week and blah blah blah.
We missed a week.
Like recently, within the last 2 episodes, we skipped like a full week.
Yeah.
Because of like everything. It was the universe being like, oh, so nothing can go wrong? Here.
No. Here's all the things.
Oh, so you think you got this? Okay, watch this. Look what I can do. But yeah, so we're also not bulk recording because after listening to the episodes and everything and realizing like when it was like our 4th or 5th episode recording for the day, we realized that even if you guys can't quite tell, but I think you can, we do get a little loopy.
Yeah, for sure.
A little punchy, a little
something.
A little something. So yeah, we're, trying to navigate and figure all that out. But all this is to say, today, the week after Thanksgiving, we're talking holidays.
Holidays.
Leading into like all of the big holidays, right? Like, yes, Thanksgiving is past, but I mean, that's just an excuse to eat tasty, tasty food.
So, yeah.
But in the next 5-6 weeks or so many holidays, so many vacations, so many various things.
And like slowdowns and,
It's a weird combination of slowing down and ramping up.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point.
'Cause like I know for me and like my family personally, like within 30 days from December 19th through January 13th, like within that span, we have 2 birthdays, anniversary, holidays, like Christmas, New Year's. So I mean, like the hits just keep coming.
I do have those and all kinds of things, birthdays, blah, blah, blah. So like it's a busy time of year more than just, hey, I might take Christmas off. And, you know what I mean?
Excuse me while I take a couple days off.
For those who celebrate Christmas, right?
Or Kwanzaa,
Hanukkah, right?
Solstice.
There's just a lot of holidays and like people taking time off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So one thing that Tam and I were talking about and we figured would be like good to maybe record since it's a hot topic and something folks struggle with is this idea of like managing your business, your schedule, kind of like your life around the holidays, but from that entrepreneurial like focus or from that like startup-y every hour matters type of focus.
Yep. For people who struggle to take any real time off, right?
Yeah.
Even not during holidays.
Which is kind of like, that's kind of one of my things. Like, and there was this article out, I think it was Bezos that was talking about it, where he's like, I love it. I applauded when I saw it on LinkedIn. It was essentially work-life balance is bullshit. And here's what you should be aiming for. I'm like, that's what I've been saying. Thank you. But he was talking, and I can't believe I never thought about it because I've been like, it's work-life integration, which sounds really boring. But his whole take on it, which of course I'm sure someone on his PR team came up with, is work-life harmony. I'm like, oh, that's so much better.
How come that didn't come up in our thesaurus search?
I know. When we're like, what's a better word?
We don't have all the skills.
No. No. Or we don't have the money to pay people with the skills.
Right.
Um, but this idea of like being fully in and fully invested in your work and everything fuels being fully in and fully invested like when you're home and
Yes.
stuff like that. So from the entrepreneurial like leadership kind of standpoint, throwing yourself all in is awesome, but it's figuring out how to use that energy and that focus to really be okay with being all in on vacations and
Mm.
family time and when things aren't about work.
I think it's hard too when, as an entrepreneur, like if it's just you,
Mhm.
then yes, you can quote unquote like work from anywhere. Like
Mhm.
that's really convenient. But like you're also kind of chained to your technology.
Mhm.
So are you really taking time off if
Mhm.
you're like just obsessively on your computer the whole time you're quote unquote taking time off?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, this is totally like a fully privileged stance to help kind of control that. But one way I definitely combat it is international trips because then I don't have like data.
Oh my God.
Okay, but Canada counts, right?
Okay, Canada counts.
Mexico counts for our North American folks. Like getting out of or getting away where there isn't cell service. Like let's pull it back a little bit. Like going up to the mountains. Don't make that face.
Well, for those of us who can't do international travel,
I said mountains. Also, how many of us have been on road trips where you're in the middle of nowhere and there's no cell service?
oh yeah, like
So-
from here to Chicago.
Yeah. So
There's
go camp.
many
Go
places.
camp between Fort Wayne and Chicago.
So we're along
Get the
Highway
fuck away.
30. Anyway,
This kind of sums up our D&D game last night.
oh my God, so does. We were like, let's go to the mountains. Do you know how to get there? Nope. But we're going.
All right. We're going to come off on 100 different tangents on the way.
That's okay. But I
Um,
think that there's, when you talk about taking time off, whether it's aspirational,
Mhm.
whether you are just going like camping, whether you're
Mhm.
taking time off at home, whatever, there's some pretty practical things that you have to
Yeah.
figure out, right? Like who's going to take care of your clients? Who's going to be responsible for
Yeah.
what, right? And if it's just you, then it's you. But
Yeah.
if you have other people that
Mhm.
work for you, then who's going to do that? Because I'm sure they want to take time
Yeah.
off too. So like, there's
really quick. Sorry.
that's okay.
I realized how to frame up what I was trying to say
Mm.
without it being ridiculous.
Without sounding super snotty.
Yes. And that is if you're a total workaholic and can't pull yourself away, have external constraints around it. Like that's why I used to love cruises.
And you just wrecked it again.
Cruises
So Des, when she wants to go on vacation, takes international trips and goes on cruises.
That's not what I'm saying.
And I sit in my house. So we have multiple viewpoints to share with you today.
I'm done. I'm just gonna let Tammy lead it from. All right, go. Other things.
It's
Who's
okay.
doing the stuff?
It's okay to have different perspectives, Des. It's diversity. So
It sounds so
a
much
little
more
bit-
ridiculous than it is.
a little something for people who take your kinds of vacations, and a little something for people who take my kinds of vacations.
But it's what we talk about with habits, anyways,
No, it
right?
is,
like, so that's the only thing I'm trying to get to.
Yes.
If you can't do it yourself, put external like
Yes.
controls around it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm shutting up.
Okay.
Everyone's like, thank God, let Tammy talk.
No. So but even what you're talking about, there's some pretty practical aspects to that, right? So if it's just you, or if it's your team, how are you going to stagger who does what?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to take care of stuff and take time off?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like one thing that I thought is that when we think of dealing with who's going to manage our clients, who's going to be in contact with our partners and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Um well, they're also taking vacations for the holidays,
Mhm.
right? So you can it's probably more expected than like maybe like a middle of the year kind of
Yeah.
vacation.
Well, and
S-
especially with, like, small teams,
Yeah.
like, holiday vacays, everyone assumes someone's doing something, but it's, again, within that 5 to 6-week period, so it's much more condensed versus, like, if we are talking summer vacay, a summer vacay can be anytime between May and August, you
Right.
know? So it is, like, having that clear set communication and expectation around like this week is so and so, this week is so and so and stuff, and it ties back into that like true for everyone that's done like hourly like frontline staff work,
Mhm.
like treating it like it's scheduling
Yeah.
and being like Becky has this week, Steve has this week. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think if it is just you, then it's expected that you'll take some time off. And so hopefully your clients are
Mhm.
going to be reasonable about that,
Mhm.
especially this time of year, right?
Yeah.
So, what you really want to do is give like advance notice
Mhm.
because nobody wants to be like, "Oh, I have to talk to so and so," and then you get an out of office reply,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm gonna be gone for a week." You're like, "Oh, it would have been great if I had known that because then anything I needed, I could have planned ahead and contacted you about before you went. But now you're gone, and what am I
Mhm.
gonna do?"
Yeah.
So if you give a heads up, then when they do get the out of office reply, it gives them a chance,
Mhm.
right? Your customers, your partners, your whatever you want to call
Mhm.
them, like um, vendors,
Mhm.
it gives them time to kind of get their ducks in a row, so to
Mhm.
speak, and get anything they need from you
Mhm.
before this
Yeah,
happens.
and I would add to that, like, it's not just, "Oh, I'm gonna be out." It's, "I'm gonna be out, but, Susie's gonna be taking over this piece. So if you need anything, reach out to Susie." And
But what if you don't have a Susie? Like, if it really is just you,
mhm.
and then you're like, okay, you can take time off without like jeopardizing your entire business.
Mhm.
You just have to be thoughtful and planful about it.
Yeah, and I also think there are, like, layers of escalation, right? Like, if it's just, like, a standard thing, then, yeah, "Please excuse me while I'm out of office." But, like, if it's, like, situation critical, "Please call this number."
Yeah.
Like, don't just I guess what I'm trying to say is don't just leave it at, "I'm going to be gone, done."
Oh, no, no, no,
But,
no.
like,
That's not
"I'm
what I
going to be
meant at all.
gone," and then if if you
Here's emergency
if
like
you have
plan.
deep-seated needs, here's what you can do about it.
Well, right, because
Yeah.
I mean that kind of leads into like the second thing I wanted to talk about, which
Mhm.
is that, I think it's all well and good to be like, don't do anything for your business while you're quote unquote on
Mhm.
vacation. And that's such an unrealistic expectation. Who
Mhm.
does that?
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you're an entrepreneur, like
Mhm.
you're going to be checking stuff.
Yeah.
So set up a reasonable plan
Mhm.
to be doing that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to hang out. Like, oh, family's coming for the holidays. Okay. So I'm going to hang out with them. And then, like, I'll take the first day they're here and I'll just hang out. And then maybe
Mhm.
an hour at the end of the night, I'll like check out what's going
Mhm.
on if anything needs my attention and
Yeah.
then set up some time the next day. Like,
Mhm.
but be very thoughtful
Yeah.
about what that plan's going to look like. This idea that, like, you're totally going to do your time off and nothing else, I don't
Yeah.
think really works for entrepreneurs. And like, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You know, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it works in, like, the corporate world. Like,
yeah.
it it doesn't it doesn't really matter, like, yeah, you could be on vacation and not necessarily checking email, but I mean, everyone I know that's done corporate is like skimming emails,
Hmm.
not really opening anything unless there's like an urgent in the subject line or something like that. And I think that's one of those things where like even not as like an entrepreneur, but just as a business practice, I think like the idea of work life harmony is so key because with technology and everything, you can't shut it down. You can't walk away. In the 50s, you go on a 2-week vacation
Yeah, you're gone.
and you are really gone. But Like, I know that there are a lot of positions where even if you are on vacation, you're expected to check your email, like, every 24 hours, things like that, just because that's what's kinda called for.
Yeah, so I think it really is important to figure out what works for you. So,
Mhm.
like, you're never going to get things from us, which is like, oh, set up this type of schedule
Yeah.
because everybody's life is different. Everybody's business is
Mhm.
different. Everybody's needs are different. And so it's really just like, hey, set up a plan.
Mhm.
Maybe it works for you to do it at the end of the night after everyone's asleep and you kind of finished up for the day. Maybe you're an kind of naturally someone who gets up earlier. So it
Mhm.
makes sense to do it in the morning. Maybe makes sense to do it at lunch.
Mhm.
Just find something that works for you so
Yeah.
you don't feel like chained to it,
Mhm.
but can still practically
Yeah.
kind of keep on top of
Mhm.
things.
And yeah, like in the out of office and everything, just be like, I'll be back by this date. If you need X, Y, and Z, contact so and so. If it's really urgent that you get a hold of me, here's like this number, leave a voicemail.
Or like stick urgent in the subject line.
Yeah,
I
like,
will be checking my emails and I'll
mhm.
get back to you in
Yeah.
such amount of time. I think that's great. I think that's
Mhm.
a really good and wise plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what if like our customers are away and so our business is kind of slowed down a little bit?
Mhm.
How do we use our time wisely? What do you think?
I mean, it's one of those times. I know I love the end of the year because historically, like in the industry that I'm in, like specifically, everyone builds up to like November, December, the holiday period.
Mhm.
We spend our year planning for it, and then we just like watch our plans execute. And that's the time when I'm like really planning for the next year, like
Okay.
getting things together, working on like what the storyline's going to be, what's the tone, all of that stuff, really looking at like the big picture of it all
Yeah.
versus like spending my days in the technical and like
Busy work,
yeah,
busy for the sake of staying busy.
the yeah, minutia, all that fun
Yeah.
stuff.
I think I think that's a perfect idea, right?
Mhm.
This focus, like increasing your focus
Mhm.
from my day-to-day
Yeah.
tasks to kind of more of a overall vision
Mhm.
of what how we think the year went,
Mhm.
what we're kind of gearing up for going into next year.
Yeah. Cuz as soon as January 1st hits, holiday whatever the next year is coming up. I promise you there are already a million people talking about holiday 2019 and 2020 right now. Promise
It's
you.
a vision. It's their vision. But we want to make sure if we do have a team that we
Mhm.
have balance for them too.
Yeah.
Right? So like maybe Susie is like there for emergencies, but we
Mhm.
also want to respect her time. And
Mhm.
so that we
Mhm.
don't have people being all resenty when we start again in January.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think like in terms of hashtag boss life, like acknowledge like if you're there are some industries where holidays are like nuts. Like if you're a frontline retail, like it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
But if you're like in a corporate gig, doing the thing, like chances are it's slower.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what type of corporate, like chances are it's just gonna be slower. If you're like in the consulting role or like writing or anything like that, like because everyone is generally out of office, there are much fewer meetings to be had.
Mhm.
Respect that and don't like it's also about like shifting expectations for employees and giving them the freedom to focus on like the big picture, to put their next year's plan together, all of that stuff, besides treating it as like just a standard like day-to-day operation.
Well, yeah, and also to remember that we're us as the boss, we're not the only ones with family. We're not the
Mhm.
only ones with friends. We're not the
Yeah.
only ones who have worked hard and deserve
Mhm.
a break,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I know there are a lot of companies where like the last week or so in December is a yeah, everyone's working, but come into the office only if you have to.
Mhm.
You know, like the expectations are be on email, do the things, but you don't have to be at your desk at 9 a.m. Like if you're doing it from like Colorado or something, like if you're on vacation, like do it. Just make sure your job gets done,
Mhm.
you know?
And my very last one is
Everyone's favorite 90s slogan. when asked to do drugs.
Just say
Just say
no.
no. Which, I mean, the
So
research says
effective.
that doesn't
It
work.
doesn't.
And I think you and I have gone off on tangents about all the reasons adults need training to say no. Because it's
Just
really
say
hard.
no.
Just say no.
You know how I feel about any solution that starts with just.
Just.
It's just it's an oversimplified mess.
It's just stupid.
Yes. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Mhm.
I mean, okay. So, as entrepreneurs, right? We're used to being stressed. That's like our jam. That's like what
It's
we
kind of how we run.
kind of how we run, right?
Mhm.
So, don't do your time off that way too. Don't
Yeah.
plan in so many parties, get-togethers,
Mhm.
responsibilities, commitments that like now you're stressed out with your vacation,
Mhm.
right? And if you are starting to feel that way, then it's time to like pull some things off that holiday calendar.
Mhm.
Don't overcommit yourself. We need brain breaks, right?
Mhm.
We need to de-stress to get ready for the new year. Even if you want to think about it as an entrepreneur, like that's your job right now is to get ready
Yeah.
to be on it as soon as January hits,
Mhm.
right? So then we need to build in those breaks for our minds, those breaks for our brain to recharge ourselves physically. Speaking as somebody who's been sick for
Forever.
forever this year, we have to give ourselves time to heal and recharge
Mhm.
our minds, our bodies, our emotions, all of it,
Mhm.
so that our our tank isn't empty before we even get started.
Yeah. I think I think that's a really, really good point, and I mean, that ties into all of the discussions we've had on burnout, right?
Yeah.
Like, once you start to notice that you're spinning your wheels, that you're feeling more stressed, or like if you're in a bad mood during the holidays or something, like the holidays just in general are significantly more stressful. Like, in terms of,
Well, because there's so much expectation around it
yeah,
versus taking like 2 weeks in whenever.
yeah. And so, I mean, like, we know this even just by like suicide rates, right?
Hmm.
Like, they skyrocket in December. Like, take a step back and, like, this is gonna sound so cheesy, but the best thing you can give yourself during the holidays is a little bit of a lower expectation.
Hmm.
Because every day you show up to the office in the month of December, and I don't care what holiday you're celebrating, you're showing up with a little more stress than you do the rest of the year.
Yeah. So I think that the point that we were making before is focusing only on like the most important things that need to be
Mhm.
accomplished, not all the things,
Yeah.
right? And it goes that way for the holidays too.
Mhm.
What are the most important things that are
Mhm.
important to you for the holidays? What customs, traditions, whatever you're celebrating
Mhm.
really means something to you, and kind of letting the rest go as best you can,
Mhm.
right? And trying to really have it be as calming as possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are those are really like how I've navigated the last few holidays, especially like juggling a 9 to 5 and building a business podcast situation, all of that grad
Grad
school.
school, oh my god.
Like,
You think it's over after grad school, it's not.
it's
I'm still
it's
studying.
never over.
But give yourself that break.
Mhm.
Give yourself a chance to rebuild, to refocus, to
Mhm.
come back to work with new perspective, new energy, ready to take on everything you want,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And fucking kill it.
Yep.
So,
All right, guys. Let us know what you think of trying to navigate everything throughout the holidays. Drop us a line on Instagram, which I swear to God is coming back.
we're doing our best, right?
Yep. Uh, we never pretended we had our shit together.
I think actually we do. We just are realistic about what that looks like. It
Woke
doesn't
up,
mean all the things. It
woke
means,
up,
you know,
had some coffee, didn't kill anyone. It's a good day.
go team.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Happy holidays, friends.
Bye.